Hey everybody, my name is Steve Meredith and I want to welcome you to today's presentation entitled Where to Start When Starting a Business, Essential Considerations Before Filing Formation Documents. This presentation is geared towards any entrepreneur or small business owner that might have a really good idea for a business, but might not really know where to start to begin with. Or a business owner that might be in business for maybe a year or two and is just wondering if they're asking the right questions to know whether or not they're managing their business or they're running their business effectively. But before we get into the meat of today's topic, the main topic, I did want to take a moment and talk to you a little bit about what SPC is as an organization. The other thing that I wanted to sort of let you guys know is this is the first webinar that I've done where I am going to attempt to keep my camera on the entire time. So if you notice me looking down, it is because I have notes that I want to make sure that I don't forget. If you see me reading off of a sheet of paper, it's because there are ideas here that don't show up on the slides that I want to be sure to get across in the notes there. But before we get started with the meat of the presentation, again, just wanted to talk to you a little bit about what SPC is as an organization. We're a regional planning agency. We're a metropolitan planning organization. We're a local development district, and we are a core funded partner and fiscal agent for the Southwestern PA, the PrEP program, the Commonwealth's PrEP program in Southwestern Pennsylvania. Now, that sounds a lot like alphabet soup, to me at least, but from an economic development perspective, we are here to help the Southwestern Pennsylvania region's businesses grow and prosper, really start, grow, and prosper. So what is today's presentation about? We're going to have 3 bullets that we want to hit here, plus a Q&A. We're going to talk about common questions that you need to ask when you start a business, some uncommon questions to consider, and then why you need a business plan and where to go to start one before we have, obviously, the sort of typical Q&A session. So let's dive right in here. Common questions for new business owners. These are questions that I think all new business owners automatically start by asking. What is my product or service? How am I going to provide my product or service to my customers? What will drive traffic to my business? How am I going to market my business to new customers? And how will I know if my business is successful? In my opinion, what is your product or service? That is essential to whether or not you have a marketable business idea. Are you opening a coffee shop, a bicycle retailer, or a social media consulting firm? What's the main delivery vehicle for your product or service? How are you going to drive traffic to your business? What differentiates your business from your competition? Let's say, for the sake of argument, you're opening a coffee shop or a bicycle retailer. You're going to have competition, all right? Because it's not like coffee is a brand new item, right? So is it going to be your low prices that drive people to your business? Is it going to be the higher quality materials? Maybe it's a better cup of coffee that's going to drive your customers to your business. And how are you going to differentiate yourself from your competition? How are you going to market your business to your new customers? Does it make sense in 2022 to buy an ad on KDKA or WTAE or WPXI to run during the nightly newscast, the nightly local newscast? Or in 2022, does it make a little bit more sense to cut an ad that you can play right before somebody watches a YouTube video? Is that a better way of marketing your business to your customers? The last bullet here, I think, is very, very crucial for any small business owner. How are you going to know if your business is successful? The main criteria for measuring business success is profit. But in your first year or so, you may not show a profit on your business's tax returns, and that's okay, right? It may take a year or two to get a profit with your business. So ask yourselves these 2 questions. Did you have enough money to cover your business expenses? i.e., did you finish the fiscal year or your operating period at a net zero, right? And secondly, are your customers both happy and coming back? And are you growing your customer base? Those are two questions that are sort of pre-profitability questions that you can ask yourself to find out whether you're on the right track and your business is successful. Because if you can answer yes to both of those questions, profit will come. Just give it time. All right. Finally, I do want to point out here that I'm always skeptical of business owners that say they aren't in business to make money. What I would say is, sometimes I will talk to people and they will say, well, I want to build a better mousetrap. I want to make my mousetrap more eco-friendly, or I want my coffee to be, fair trade, or I want to, do something that's going to, help society on a deeper level than just making money, right? I would counsel them to uh, amend their statement that they are not in business to make money. I think if you're one of those business owners that really care and only care about the altruistic sort of features of your product, and you're not really in business to make a profit, um, you should say that. I'm not really in business to make a profit, because the reality is all businesses are in business to make money, because you need money to maintain operations. Okay, you need money, aka cash flow, also known as cash flow, to keep your business's doors open. So if you really want to affect the world, make an environmentally friendly product, or if you want to, let's say, you're a water bottler, and one of the things that you want to do is help third world nations in Africa get clean water. That's great. That is awesome, and I applaud you for doing that. You're still in business to make money, though, because you need money to keep your business's doors open. If you don't make enough money to meet your expenses, you're not going to be in business very long, and you can't achieve the altruistic goals that you have for your business, right? Moving right along. Some uncommon questions to consider when opening a business. How much is it going to cost to operate my business? How am I going to manage my cash flow? How long is my company's operating or inventory cycle going to be? And that's going to differ by industry. Who am I competing with in my industry sector? And how do I measure growth or success? That last bullet kind of goes along with the last bullet at the last slide. Um, uh, with regard to the first question, will you have a cost to produce your goods? And what will that cost be? Will I be in need of suppliers, and how much will it cost for my business supplies? Because whatever it costs for your business supplies needs to be rolled into the ultimate price of your product, okay? If your business is a service-related enterprise, like plumbing or electrical, how much will gas cost to perform service calls? Things of that such nature. How am I going to manage my cash flow? Bullets 2 and 3 here really go together quite well. Cash flow, as I sort of mentioned in the last slide, is the lifeblood of any business. Improper management of cash flow will mean that you spend more money than you bring in, and obviously that's something that you don't want, right? Now, with regard to a company's operating or inventory cycle, like I said, it's going to differ by industry. But let's define those terms to begin with. A company's operating cycle is defined as the number of days that it typically takes for a dollar invested in the business to mature into cash, okay? The number of days that it typically takes a dollar invested in the business to mature into cash. Now, the longer your operating cycle is, the more likely you will need external sources of working capital, like a loan from a bank, a working capital loan from a bank, or potentially perhaps an inflection of venture capital. Okay, so in a long operating cycle, cash is tied up in the business and is not able to pay business obligations like suppliers or debt service, etc. Okay, examples of a longer running operating cycle would be a company that produces ships, like a shipbuilder. Okay, as opposed to a restaurant that has a very short or even negative operating cycle. Because the dollar that is invested in the restaurant's business is going to mature into cash much quicker than the shipbuilder's dollar will. Because in the restaurant business, it takes you longer to pay your suppliers or bills than it takes for you to sell your inventory. Your inventory in a restaurant is food, okay? You're running through food on a weekly basis, okay? Um, you'll need to consider how long it takes you to turn your inventory and or your operations into accounts receivable into cash, because cash pays bills and keeps your doors open. So that's the difference. Accounts receivable is sort of where money is tied up before you collect it and it becomes cash. So you want to make sure that through the operating cycle, that the operating cycle isn't too long such that you need external sources of working capital. Similarly, the inventory cycle is the number of days cash is invested in cash invested in inventory takes to become accounts receivable. Okay, again, inventory cycle is the number of days cash invested in inventory. The number of days it takes cash invested in inventory to become accounts receivable, or something from which you can collect cash. Now, there are three phases to the inventory cycle. There's the order phase, which is the amount of time that it takes a company to order and receive materials. The production phase, which is the time that it takes to produce the finished goods. And the shipping phase, which is the time it takes for the finished goods to reach their destination. Okay? If you choose to outsource the production of your goods, you will be at the mercy of your suppliers in case there are fluctuations in the length of an inventory cycle, okay? So let's say, for the sake of argument, you own a t-shirt shop, a t-shirt printer, okay? And you decide that you're just going to have the storefront for the t-shirts. You're not going to do the printing yourself, all right? You're going to outsource that to a third-party printer. And let's say, for the sake of argument, that third-party printer one day has one of their screen printing machines malfunction. And they call up the screen printing machine's manufacturer and it says, unfortunately, we won't have the part to fix your machine for another 2 weeks, okay? If you outsource the production of your t-shirts or whatever to that printer, and that printer is going to be down a screen printing machine, you are going to have to adjust for a new inventory cycle, the length of a new inventory cycle, because you're going to have to add 2 or 3 days likely to that inventory cycle so that you can get the product from a printer that's really only working with 2 screen printing machines and not 3. So all of that has to come into account when you are thinking about operating cycle or inventory cycle. And then last bullet, growth means building and or perfecting a product or service, okay? It's not measured in newspaper write-ups. It's not measured in new restaurant reviews or a new office buildings. All of those things are nice, and all of those things are byproducts of success. But ultimately, a better product or increased customer base means more cash flow for your business. That's going to make it more, make you more confident to operate, and it's ultimately going to lead to more profits down the road. The next slide I have here is about creating your business plan. Okay, now I will say that any business, whether it be a social media consulting firm, whether it be a coffee shop, whether it be a plumber, an electrician, my feeling is that all businesses need to have a business plan. And in fact, planning your business should be a deliberate task that you undertake before you, obviously before you open your doors. But all business owners need to have a business plan. And furthermore, you need to have a fully formed business plan. I think a lot of business owners, they think, okay, well, I'll get started on my business plan. I'll open up a Word document. I'll start typing it out. And they don't really understand what all goes into a business plan. Certainly, if you are a startup, you need a business plan. And the reason why I hit this drumbeat all the time about needing a business plan is if your business ever needs to expand rapidly, or if you need to fund startup costs with financing, in order to qualify for financing from either a private bank or an economic development institution like SPC, we will need to see your business plan if you're a startup or if you've been in business for less than 3 years, okay? Most business plans consist of at least the following 4 sections, and it's usually broken down into 8 or 9 subsections, okay? Keep in mind that the executive summary is a 1 to 2 page synopsis of the business idea, followed by a team overview that details the key personnel in the business and any relevant experience in the industry that those key personnel may have. Finally, the investment opportunity essentially asks investors or lenders for an amount of capital or financing needed to get the business off the ground. Now, the company overview is going to be a deeper company synopsis. That's going to include a description of the market opportunity, key benefits and services, pricing and revenue, as well as current and future development of the business. Then we're going to move into an industry analysis, which is going to include industry overview, your business's target market, what else here? Competitor analysis. We talked about who you're going to be competing against in your business. That's where the competitor analysis is going to go, in the industry analysis section. And then differentiating factors. Again, what makes your business better? Okay, is it cheaper? Do you get your goods or services to the customer cheaper? Is it a higher quality material or a higher quality product? What is it about your business that's going to differentiate yourself from your competitor? And one final note, I think I mentioned this at the top of the slide here, but it's important to realize that a fully formed business plan takes up to 6 weeks to craft and finalize. Don't rush this process. Take your time with it. A completed business plan can have upwards of 20 pages, and the sections listed on the screen are really the bare bones of what a business plan should have. Like I said, it's usually broken down into 8 or 9 subsections that you need to have. Talk to a small business development center representative about how to build your business plan, and remember to be realistic about your company's projections, because the more realistic you are about your company's projections, the more likely you are to qualify for that initial startup financing or perhaps expansion financing. Maybe you need a new piece of equipment. Maybe you're ready to move into your own building. You need to be realistic about your projections so that the private and public financing institutions really take you seriously about your idea. So what exactly is the next step here? The next step, quite simply, is to talk to your local small business development center. Every time I have one of these webinars, I am always hitting the drumbeat of go to an SBDC, talk to an SBDC. One of the first things that I ask a new startup when I talk to them is, do you have a business plan? And I will get any range of answers. I will get one from, I've been thinking about starting one, or I have a couple of pages typed out, or I've been working with such and such an SBDC, or I've worked with so-and-so at IUP SBDC, or I've worked at so-and-so at the University of Pittsburgh SBDC, and they've looked at my business plan and they've signed off on it. That's the big key that you want, okay? At the end of the business plan process, you want your small business development center representative to sign off on your business plan and basically give it the stamp of approval, so that when you go to a public or private financing institution, they can see right from the get-go that you're serious and your business plan is viable, okay? In addition to the small business development centers, though, we have 5 in the area. We have the University of Pittsburgh, we have Clarion University, we have St. Vincent, we have the Indiana University of Pennsylvania, and then we have Clarion University Small Business Development Center. All five of those SBDCs are excellent, and I would counsel you, wherever you are in Southwestern Pennsylvania, if you need help finding the one that's closest to you, I will certainly help you do that, and I will sing their praises probably until your ears fall off. I apologize for that, but they're just so helpful at helping you craft a business plan. But in addition to going to the SBDCs, after you go to an SBDC and craft your business plan, and maybe you've talked to a financing representative like myself at an EDO or economic development organization or a private bank, after you talk to those people, if you still need some assistance figuring out how to run the business. There are some other organizations that you should take advantage of in the area. And I have a list here. First is the Service Corps of Retired Executives. That is that is an SBA program of, as the title suggests, retired executives providing free advice to local small business owners. People who have walked the walk and talked the talk of small business. You really want to pick their brains. They're a really great group of people. So take advantage of your local SCORE chapter. There is one in Pittsburgh, and if you need help getting in touch with them, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'd be happy to put you in touch with them. If you're a women-owned small business, the Chatham Center for Women's Entrepreneurship, great place to stop. I've worked with their staff on a couple of different occasions. They're wonderful to work with, and they can really help the women-owned small businesses in the area. For veteran-owned small businesses, this might seem like it's a little bit of a far way off, and I apologize for that, but the University of Maryland Veterans Business Outreach Center is responsible for veteran-owned businesses in PA. The way the VBOCs, as they are abbreviated, are split up is by region. So the University of Maryland VBOC takes care of veteran-owned businesses, I think in Maryland, Pennsylvania, Delaware, New Jersey, and maybe one other state, probably DC. I'll have to double check that, but they definitely do take care of small businesses that are veteran-owned in Southwestern Pennsylvania. And then finally, I'll toot our own horn here at SPC. SPC has three assistance programs that can help small businesses with different aspects of their business. We have a Procurement Technical Assistance Center designed to help small businesses go after government contracts on the federal, state, and local government level. I used to run that program. I can connect you with the woman who runs the program now. She's very good at what she does. We have an export development program run by two very experienced international trade specialists who can help you export your goods or services to markets that are overseas. And then obviously you have the commercial lending program that I run. I help small businesses finance building, land, machinery, equipment, or related working capital purchases. And when I say related working capital, I mean that the working capital has to be related to a larger building, machinery, or equipment purchase. So for the sake of argument, if you own a print shop and you print stationery and business cards and all manner of paper products, and then one day you decide that you want to move into screen printing hats and t-shirts and things like that, you're going to need a piece of equipment to facilitate that new product line. So you can take an SPC loan to purchase that piece of equipment and then use working capital from SPC to train your staff on how to use that piece of equipment. Okay, so that's how the commercial lending program at SPC works. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is my presentation. So I will go to the question slide here. There is my contact information. I am in the office 3 days a week these days. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, usually I'm in the office. And Thursday and Friday, I usually work from home. So the best way to get a hold of me is probably via email. I also want to give a plug for SPC's online loan application portal. The reason I want to plug this is because if you go to the link shown on the screen here, this new online loan application portal, if you click that and you sign up for a free account, SPC has a pre-application questionnaire where you can fill out some information about your business, fill out some information about your project, and answer some questions about your ability to meet some of our lending criteria. And then essentially what you do is when you submit that, I get an automated email that says, hey, you have a new pre-application questionnaire from John Smith at Smith Fabrication or whatever the case may be. And then I open it up and I take a look at your project and I will reach out to you within 72 hours to talk about it. Or if you are maybe not eligible for SPC financing, what I will do is I will reach out and direct you to another lender in the area that probably is a better fit for you. And then finally, I always encourage anybody that views one of these presentations to connect with me on LinkedIn. Always love meeting new business owners via that social media and facilitating conversation that way. So without further ado, if you have any questions, feel free to either voice them now if you have a microphone and you'd like to unmute yourself, or you can put them in the chat box and I will do my best to answer them there. Or if you feel more comfortable asking questions offline, I can certainly entertain them via email or via phone as well. So without anything further, I'll sort of look in the chat box to see if there are any questions, or if anybody wants to unmute themselves, you can do so now. Okay. Well, hearing none, I will just say that if you have any questions after the presentation is over, please feel free to reach out to me. I thank you very much for spending a little bit of time with me this afternoon, and have a great day, and we'll see you at the next webinar.